What's up, everyone? This is episode 9 of the Sit Down. I can't believe we're at 9 already, Joel. We're going to be talking about anything from Britney Spears, Ozzy Osbourne, Fiona Apple, and a whole bunch of some products that we have on the site. So, my name is Mark,
And I'm Joel.
and this is the Sit Down.
So how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good. Actually, I managed to go to the city for once today. I know the whole social distancing is pretty interesting when you get to a grocery store. I say,
Yeah.
you have to keep your distance 2 meters or 6 feet from people, and people wearing face masks, and trying to keep their distance. It's all very weird. And then the kids had to go to
Apocalyptic.
the bathroom. Yeah, and then the kids had to go to the bathroom, and it's like,
Apocalypse.
oh, why did I bring you?
Right.
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
And
Yeah.
you?
What did I say? I was thinking D.
I don't
Um,
know.
I've been all right, man. Just same old, same old. Boy, we had some. Last week's episode didn't quite turn out the way we wanted it to. Hey, so sorry about that,
Video
guys. The
wise,
video wise, yeah, was. We're still testing stuff out, and because
yeah,
we can't be in the same room together, technically we probably could be. We can be, but we live so
yeah,
far away from each other.
yeah. It's like a whole 5 minute hike.
Yeah. So
But
we're
we
just
don't want
kind
to
of
put your
testing
wife
this
at
out.
risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so we're doing something a little bit different right now. Um, yeah, without going into too many technical details, we're recording uh, the video separately instead of over Zoom. And then we're going to send each other the high definition video and then put it all together. And as of this moment, I don't know how I'm going to put it all together yet. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be a fun weekend. Fun stuff. But no, things have been good over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um same old, same old.
Have
Yeah,
you been staying home mostly?
mostly. Did I even leave the house in the last week? I didn't. I
I don't know.
haven't left the house. What are we? I haven't left the house in 7 days. Like I've went outside,
Nice.
but I didn't like I haven't went anywhere since last Friday. I had to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
into Saskatoon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So been fun. I love it.
Well, next time you're next. Well, yeah, I don't mind either. It's just a challenge with normally everything, like all the shipments would come into the office and it's right there. But now I had to set up a different street address because they don't deliver to rural addresses. So it was all a little bit of a challenge to get all my packages in. But today, uh, finally, we got some MoFi sleeves in, so they're going to be in stock over the weekend. And then we got a shipment from Universal. That's quite a few records, so we might be able to ship almost half of the back orders that we have right now. We're still waiting for Sony and Warner to show up. But to be honest, I don't even know where they're shipping it to. I'll just get a notification eventually that hey, your shipments is here, and then I'll
Right.
just go pick it up somewhere. So
Right.
yeah, that's the challenge a little bit, but yeah, overall I don't mind working from home.
Awesome.
Yeah, yep.
Very cool.
And then
So
speaking of products, you added some more sales to the website?
that's correct. So by the time this episode is up and you guys are watching this or listening to it, there is going to be basically a sale on every model except for one, from what I can
Of what?
tell, of turntables. So
Audio
do you want me
Technica
to?
turntables?
Yeah. Yes. Do you want me to get into like
Yeah.
specifics about it or? Well,
Um, well, there's only one model that's not on sale, right?
Yes, that would probably be the smoother way to go about it. Thanks, Mark. The
Yeah.
one that is not on sale is the AT LP 140 XP. Is the
Okay.
one that is not on sale.
Right. That's the model up from the LP 120X.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, it's a 140. So where's the
yeah.
130?
There is no. They only do
There
even
is.
numbers.
So they go up by 20s. Anyways. But yes, so out of all of them, there's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine of them, and there's one out of nine that is not on sale this week.
And what's on average kind of the sale price that we have them on for, or like
Uh,
how much of a discount do people get?
well, depending on which one, it could vary anywhere from $20 sale to $50, essentially,
Nice.
in that range,
Cool.
20 to $50, right? Yeah,
So if you're looking for a
that'll be
turntable,
going.
now's the time to do it.
Yeah, those will be on sale for a week. A couple of them, two of them will be on sale for 2 weeks. The other, six or seven for just this week only.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Joel and I talked about this in the last episode, but if you have any questions about which turntable you should buy, how much you want, or how much you should spend on a turntable, etc., send an email to holler@funkymoose.ca and we'll get you straightened out.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
believe
hey,
Kanto is still on sale too.
are they?
The Kanto Tuck, I believe it's till the end of April. Please don't quote me because it just popped into my head and I didn't do my research on it. So I think they're still on sale. If not, sorry.
Kanto, a proud sponsor.
Yeah.
I
You wanted to
was
say
I was
something.
just yeah, and I don't remember what the hell I was going to say. I
Oh,
honestly don't
sorry.
remember what I was going to say. Something about how there was nothing in the news, like nothing too
Right.
crazy, and I was going to
Hmm.
throw it into something, and I don't remember what that was. Couldn't have been important. Like we mentioned the last time, you guys, is we're trying to avoid COVID-19 stuff. Like we're just trying to not really address it too much. This is to get away from that. Um, so we're trying to find like content to put on here. We were put up some questions on like Facebook and Instagram to see what you guys wanted to talk about. Um, Mark, did we get any replies on that?
I I'm gonna do this a little different for the next episode because I only put it up this afternoon and we literally got a handful of replies, and I think those are still from last week too. Um, but there was one question from Jennifer. I think that's what you're going for. That you right? That's what you were aiming
Yeah,
for to go to.
sure.
Yeah. Okay. Um, and I remember before we started recording, I closed a whole bunch of tabs.
Oh, and you closed
That's
it.
one of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant.
But basically, I believe the question was along the lines of, "Why did you guys start a podcast?" Am I right? Do you have it open still?
Uh, I do not. Neither. Look at us, very
Okay, wait.
professional here.
Oh yeah. No, no. This is us um, trying to fit the article that we wanted to talk about last, putting it in first. I got it. So, so what made you decide to start a podcast? Where were you inspired by other podcasts, and also what are your favorite podcasts? So, you want to start? Do you want me to start?
I want you to begin on what inspired you to start a podcast.
Okay. So this goes back to 2016, where I had a previous podcast. Um, and even if you want to go further back, I have a short history in radio, but it's still ingrained in me. It's all my dad's fault. Anyway, um,
I think that was episode 2 or 3. We talked about that,
I
right?
think so. Yeah, yeah. And I wanted to do something. I couldn't find a podcast or YouTube channel or anything that interviewed people in the industry. So I thought, well, why don't I do that? And then I started a podcast in 2016, and it was a 6 episode show. I had 6 episodes in total. And basically, I got on a Skype call with a bunch of people that were in my contact list. For example, buddy of mine, YouTuber, RPM 33, channel 33 RPM, Frank. He was my first guest on the show. Steve from Groove Washer, then another Steve who unfortunately passed away, but he had a record label called Sometimes Music. Um, Alex from Viral Technologies, who makes record presses that they're using in Canada right now. Um, so those are all really interesting conversations. But that was also at the time where Funky Moose Records was growing pretty fast, and I simply didn't have the time to dedicate to it anymore. Um, so because I kind of made it more like a radio show where I edited it and I made it all smooth with music and whatever,
Right.
and that was just a whole bunch of work. And so I did the 6 episodes, and then I was like, okay, this was fun, but now I got to focus on the business. So
Now
now
it's too much work.
we're we're 4 years later. The business is going very well, and the business is a lot on autopilot. Um, Whereas in 2016, I did a lot of the stuff manually, and I was still growing it because it was only a year old. So now it's all a lot of the processes are automated, and I have wonderful staff like Joel and Jeremy, and so a lot of that is out of my hands. And Joel and I started talking about, hey, we should do a podcast because that's good for marketing too. And I was like, all right, that's going to be a lot of time
Well,
that I
yeah,
don't
like the
have.
whole
And
like,
then,
correct me if I'm wrong here, Mark, but the whole idea is like to provide content, right? To
yeah,
not that like the
yeah,
name
for
Funky
sure.
Moose name isn't out there, but that's the whole idea, is to just get
Yeah,
content out. That's what everybody's doing now, right? People are listening to podcasts and watching YouTube and such.
yeah.
So it was like, let's join that bandwagon on like Twitter,
And
Instagram, Facebook, social
yeah,
media, right? That's what it's
and we
all about.
just want to be and we just want to be more than box pushers because that's
Yeah,
fairly easy to do, right? So we want to be more involved in the community, more involved in the whole music industry, and that's also a reason why, you know, eventually we want to get into a record label, and stuff like that. So the podcast is first of all fun to do, and second of all, it'll help promote the business in general.
yeah.
So
And we are,
that's my side. And then
yeah.
how about you tack on to where we started talking about podcasts?
Well, so it's like when I don't even know where to begin. I was all for it. Like Mark said, they're definitely fun to do, and relatively easy to do. I'm a huge fan of watching podcasts. I don't listen to them in the vehicle. I'm constantly watching them on YouTube. I think there's about 6 or 7 regular ones that I've got playing in the background, and I don't like sit there, pop a bowl of popcorn, and watch it, but yet sometimes I do, depending on who it is, right? Like I'm an advocate for a lot of comedians that I follow have podcasts, like Joe Rogan, Tom Segura and his wife. They've got one, Your Mom's House. Chris D'Elia's got Congratulations podcast. There's the Fighter and the Kid. Um, those are kind of the main ones that I don't like to miss. There's Dr. Drew After
the sit
Dark.
down, the sit
Yeah, the
down,
sit down. I do. I actually I do watch it when it gets uploaded. But yeah, so I'm all about it. It's
and
entertainment, right? Is what it is.
that's actually pretty funny because I remember our first conversation initially that we were gonna do this, and you were like, I'm not gonna watch it because I can't watch myself, and now
Yeah,
you've
I'm like
probably
my own
watched all
worst.
episodes.
I
Yeah.
have. I do. That's how I know that the video last week was not the best.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Well,
that's just
yeah.
what it is. we're still relatively new. When we started, we were doing it a little different, and then obviously COVID hit, so like we had to
Yeah,
change our format a little bit, which potentially when this smoke settles, it'll change again. So I mean, our toes are starting to get a little wet in it, and it's just constantly it's going to evolve and change. So just thank you for listening and tuning in when you guys do. But keep in mind, we are new and we're still just kind of growing that base. So
yeah,
tell your friends, keep it going. You don't have to watch us on YouTube. There's other, what do you call that? Not channels where they can listen to it, but what's the word I'm looking for?
yeah. Well, yeah, you can call them channels.
Yeah, like other sources where you can find us to listen to us.
Hmm. Yeah,
But yeah, so I mean, that's kind of where it came from, just to try and release content and get out there, social media,
yeah,
stay relevant.
yeah,
And of course, staying relevant, like I said at the top, is that we don't want to talk about COVID-19. We want to talk about stuff that's in the music, stuff that you guys want to hear about. Like maybe we might have an inside info on something that you're curious about. So just, you know, don't be shy to ask
yeah.
us questions on social media, you guys. Like we're just the average Joes like you guys. So
And we don't know everything. I'm definitely not the guy, and I know you're not either. The Mister Know It All. Um, I don't know everything. I don't know every artist. I don't know every song lyric. I don't think I want to. I just love music. I dig music, and
yeah.
if
Well,
uh,
that's just,
if
and
anyone
that's
has
what
a
we said
question,
too,
and
right?
I yeah,
How it's
and if
our
and if
opinion
anyone
on
has a
stuff.
question that I don't have the answer to, then I'll find it. Um,
And I
and
feel
yeah,
we're pretty
it's
open minded too. If we don't like a particular artist, or and if you how can I say it? Like, don't be offended if we don't like somebody that you like or worship or whatever. Because, like I said, we're pretty open minded. Like, we'll give them an honest to God chance, but I mean, we're only human too. Doesn't mean that we have to like
yeah,
everything you like, or
yeah.
or
So
vice
this
versa. You don't need to like everything we like, neither.
this this kind of evolves into a discussion I had with someone in our Facebook group. So there's a Facebook group called Canadian Record Collectors. It's our group. We have about close to 2,000 members, I believe, and we're all like-minded. We're all record collectors. We all like music. And somebody posted, Andre, it was he posted a picture of Neil Young's Harvest album that he was playing that, and he said it was a great record. And I commented with a GIF of Danny DeVito going shaking his head. So that's where where we had the conversation. Like, what, you don't like Neil Young? I was like, no, I hate Neil Young. I can't stand the guy. And that's that's not against you. That's against Neil Young. If you love Neil Young, good, go for it. But
Yeah,
you won't see it on my turntable.
that's right. Oh man, I remember almost getting into fights because I didn't like the Tragically Hip. I was never
Really?
like I never got into them. I couldn't,
Me
and
neither.
I still can't. And I just
Me neither.
remember like almost like obviously drugs and alcohol were involved, but I mean like almost like throwing fists as a result of it. But whatever,
Oh
young and dumb.
no, and tragic. Okay, so I'm not from Canada. So when I came to Canada and kind of started, learning about the culture and whatever, and I was like, who the hell is these tragically hip guys? Like, I heard a few songs and they kind of sounded familiar, and I heard them over and over, and I was like, what the hell is with these guys? They're not that great in my ears. Like,
Yeah.
oh, although I'm
Uh
not,
huh.
I wasn't used to them either. So and then all of a sudden, Gord died. Well, it wasn't all of a sudden, but he died, and like Canada imploded. I was like, what the hell? It's okay. It's a Canadian artist, sure. And then I talked to another buddy of mine who is a Tragically Hip fan, and he kind of explained um, how this Gord's songwriting touched a lot of people and a lot of musicians, and kind of taught them how to write songs. So, in that sense, I guess the hip is, but then again, if I look at the sales, the hip are up there in the number of sales that we're doing. So, I mean, to all
Yeah,
the fans, good for you.
yeah,
I'm
and good
if
for
I
the
hear
hip
a song here and
for
there,
doing that, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's not like I'm gonna turn the music off if I hear it, but it's I can do without. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that because I was like, I would. I raised my hand. I wasn't gonna say it, but yeah, I'd probably shut it off if the hip was on. I'm sorry, guys.
Well,
I
that's
just
fine.
not.
That
Yeah,
you can.
I'd I'd rather listen to Metallica. But
Yeah, your
anyways,
90s. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. I was trying to find like topics to that we could discuss this week maybe. Hey, you don't go on Instagram too frequently, do you? A little bit, but
I, I have a bit of a love hate relationship with Instagram. Like I'm a fan of Twitter, and that's because of the engagement you have. I get the feeling with Instagram, it's a lot of people posting stuff that they like, and all you get in return is a little heart because somebody likes your post. And with Twitter, you have more of a conversation. Like and I appreciate everyone that's following us on Instagram. And when you send a message through Instagram, I will reply. Um, but it's less of how do I say this without offending people? And
let them get offended, man.
it's
Just say what like
no. Well, it's not. Well, it's not about offending people. It's more like I don't want to spell it out wrong. It's um it's less engaging, less interesting for me to be there. Like, yeah, I can get 500 likes on a post, but what does that give me?
right,
Nothing. But if I do the same on Twitter and I get 500 replies, that's way more interesting to me than you know what I mean?
right. I think so. I had Twitter for a hot minute, and then I stopped using it. Um,
Yeah.
I
Although
haven't
I do have to say that Twitter has become
nudity.
a lot less interesting. Nudity? Yeah, there's nudity, yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I kind of
That's
stopped
why I had a
using.
Twitter account?
No, actually, I only found out there was nudity on there after I stopped using it.
Oh.
And I stopped using Facebook once I got Instagram. So it's been over a
Well, you're still
year.
using Facebook.
I use Facebook Messenger, but I don't like. I think
No,
maybe in
but
the last,
you're using Instagram, so you're using Facebook
yeah,
because
because it's
Instagram is a
owned
Facebook
by,
company.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right, you're right. But yeah, and I don't even follow family or anything on Instagram. It's like the celebrity people that I watch the podcast
Right.
to. That's about it.
Yep.
Just to
Yeah.
keep in that little loop of Los
I tried to
Angeles.
keep I tried to keep two accounts, one Funky Moose Records and one my personal. It was a mess. So now I just do Funky Moose Records. I don't have a personal one anymore.
Right.
Like, yeah, I do Facebook, I do Twitter, I do some Instagram, but the Snapchat, TikTok, all that stuff, no.
Yeah, TikTok.
Yeah. Anyway,
TikTarded.
that's not music. Let's how about we do a break and then we'll continue with some actual music.
Okay. Well, actually, hold that thought because the reason I was asking about Instagram is because I was going to ask if you follow Britney Spears on Instagram. That's where I was kind of starting to lead with that.
I do not.
You do not? Okay. Um, I do because I she's kind of cute, but um, I was gonna say she's
She's
also kind of crazy. If you haven't known that Britney Spears is so recently, she's in the news because a couple days ago she posted about how 20 years ago it was like the biggest breakup when her and Justin Timberlake split up or whatever. Not
Oh yeah, the
like
biggest breakup in the world too.
yeah,
Not just yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
but like
Keep
nothing
going.
nothing too crazy. Like it's Britney Spears, right? So I'm not going to touch too much on the topic, but what I did want to say is that if you do follow her, on there. I was curious to know like your opinions of like is there something wrong there? I mean, if you follow her, you might know what I'm getting at with this, but like I've seen like a post where it'll be like, "Oh, this is me with no makeup on," and clearly she's got like makeup on her face, right? Like just not that anything's too weird, like she'll be doing yoga or exercises or whatever stuff like that, and she's always doing this silly little head flip thing all the time, but there's something not right there. I can't put my finger on it, and I'm just wondering if she's like legit crazy or what's going on. Still not hard on the eyes, but
Or I don't know. I saw her last video.
what was her
I
last
don't know.
video?
I don't know. She did a. I think it was for TikTok, or she did a little dance. Was that the same post? No,
I don't know. Did you see
no. She
Madonna?
was no.
Madonna on what the hell did she post on? This was a couple of weeks ago, where she tried changing the lyrics to one of her own songs, and then she messed up her own lyrics, and she's like dancing in her bathroom. Oh man, it was like that. Something looked off there too. It was weird,
I
man.
think people are going stir crazy now with the COVID-19 thing.
Well, they gotta be.
And then I saw an interview with Pink because she had attracted COVID-19
Did she?
with her son. Yeah, and her son is 3, and he got it pretty bad, and the doctors were like, nothing we can do about it. Just let him be
Right,
sick,
like
and
write it out.
yeah. So he was sick for a while, and then she got it on top of that too. And then her husband and her daughter, nothing wrong with him.
Right.
So that was kind of weird.
Yeah, the
But yeah,
whole everything is weird right now, I guess.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but
But
anyways,
we're
we
not
can do a
talking
pause.
COVID-19.
Yeah, we can do a pause and come back here for sure. How about a
Okay.
word from our sponsor?
This episode is brought to you by Canto Audio. Canto is a Canadian company that produces quality speakers and accessories like cables, TV, and speaker mounts. Their latest flagship model is the Canto Tuck, named after the remote Canadian hamlet Tuktoyaktuk. The speakers feature AMT tweeters, 13cm aluminum woofers, 65 watts per channel, and a wide range of input methods like RCA for a CD player, Bluetooth for your phone, Toslink optical input for your TV, and built-in phono stage, so setting up your turntable is easy peasy. Connecting them to Canto's sub 6 or sub 8 subwoofers complete the full range sound that anyone will enjoy. They come in 2 colors, matte black and matte white, and they're available at Funky Moose Records via fmr.fm/tuck. That is fmr.fm/TUK. And we're back. It was a long
Little bit
break.
of yeah, no doubt. For us, not for them. A little bit of
Oh,
technical
yeah, no, exactly.
difficulties. What the
Oh, here
hell
we
were
go
we talking
again.
about? We were talking about Britney Spears and how she's
Peop
crazy, social media.
artists, yeah, yeah. But I think we can, yeah. I don't know, like artists in general must be a little crazy, I think. Don't you think?
For sure, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I find they're all conceited, egotistical. um, yeah, they're nuts. They're nuts, but we love them. We love them.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
Ozzy Osbourne,
yeah.
he's
The
doing a good
Prince
deed
of
or did a
Darkness.
good deed. Yeah. Um, so he donated, what was it? Okay, so part of the technical difficulties was my browser crashing. Okay, hang on. So he donated how much?
All the merch sales, all the profits from
Oh,
the merch
right.
sales.
Yeah, all the profits from the merch sales from his tours go to what's it called? The Michael J. Fox Foundation.
Right, like for Parkinson's.
Yeah. And then before we started shooting, we had to do a little digging because I couldn't recall if he actually had
Yeah,
Parkinson's, but Ozzy does have.
he
He was
does.
diagnosed in January, and it's a bitch, that one.
No doubt. No doubt.
So the merch is available at the Ozfest eBay page as well. So if you want to buy more, the proceeds will go to
Michael J.
um,
Fox's
yep,
foundation.
that's right. Yep,
Yeah, that's pretty
I
cool.
think that's cool. Like, and then there's also a whole bunch of people saying, "Oh, it's only like who was it? Oh yeah, we talked about this already. But Elton John donating $1 million to the Australian uh, fires and whatever, and then people
Right.
are like, "Well, it's only $1 million. This guy's worth like 50 million. Why doesn't he give more?" Well, how much are you giving
Yeah.
anyway?
That's just silly talk. Silly talk.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's awesome. Good for them.
Um,
Good for them.
did we? Did you hear about that Mike Judge thing?
So I kind of heard something about it. So for those of you who don't know, Mike Judge is the creator of Beavis and Butthead and King of the
Hmm.
Hill. He did that movie Office Space. Like he was the creator of all of
And
those.
he did Silicon Valley recently.
Right. So I just found this out. I think it was this morning, actually, early this morning, where he's got another show called um, oh, for crying out loud, I don't remember the name of it. I know what it's about.
Something
You
funk,
remember the name of it?
funk, something.
Yeah, I don't, all I know is that he's got another show. Season 2 is out apparently, and it's about like funk music. I'm assuming it's a cartoon again, but it's like talking about George S. Clinton, Rick James, James Brown, like all that kind of old 70s funk music, which I'm definitely intrigued. I want to look up more
I've
about that.
But is this the first season?
I think it's season 2. I think.
Well, where's the first one?
Well, exactly. Where's season
I want to
2?
watch
Never
that.
mind. Where's season 2? I read that
Well,
it's on Now TV, and I don't even know what Now TV is. Do you know what
isn't that
that is?
something English or something? British?
I haven't got a clue, Mark. I'll be honest with you. I
I
don't
think
know.
so.
But I am intrigued, and I want to find that out. I used to watch Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill. I remember King of the Hill on like Sunday nights on Fox.
No, King of the Hill. I was never a fan of. Beavis
Nope.
and Butthead, though, I watched after school a lot.
The movie was killer. One of my
I
favorite
didn't watch the movie.
one of my favorite Rob Zombie songs is in that movie, Beavis and Butthead Do America. And that whole sequence where that song is playing, Rob Zombie, that was like his directorial debut or something. He directed like that
Oh,
30-second stint in the movie or something like that. If maybe I'm
really?
wrong, don't
Huh.
quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that that's what it
Huh.
was. That movie's so killer, man. It's got like Bruce Willis, Demi Moore are like characters in it.
Beavis and Butthead.
Beavis and Butthead. Yeah, that's such a good show. It's funny.
I might have to check it out when I have some time.
I think you would like it. Actually, what you should be checking out, this isn't music related, but you should be checking out that show Big Mouth on Netflix. I keep telling you
Oh, yeah,
that,
you
man.
told me about that.
I keep
Yeah.
telling you. I
Oh,
swear to God, you're missing out. I swear.
all right.
And
I'll
there's
give it
some
a shot.
songs in it every now and again. It's so good.
I'll check it out sometime, maybe.
Hey, going back to the first half of the show, you didn't answer the second part of Jenny's question on what do you listen to podcasts, and if so, which ones do you
I
listen
do.
to?
Not a lot, and they're not music related. No, that's not true. One of them is not music related. I'm a Formula One fan, so I listen to Beyond the Grid. That's a podcast where Tom Clarkson, he's an interviewer in the Formula One world. Everybody knows him. He actually interviews ex Formula One drivers and current drivers, and not just drivers, also team principals and whatever. and you get a lot of insight into Formula One teams and how the workings of Formula One works. So that's something. Um, he's a really good interviewer. So um, if I want to learn something about interviewing, I just have to listen to him, and he somehow words questions in a way that people want to answer, and not just with a yes or no or a short two sentence. He asks one simple question and then they just go on. And I don't know if that's the passion for the racing or if that's the way he's asking, but I think that's cool how he does that.
Cool.
And then the other one is a podcast I just recently started listening to, and it's called um, "Starting a Record Label."
For real?
And it's yeah, for real. It's a guy that literally that he's starting a record label from scratch. He has no experience starting a record label. He just he's he worked in recording studios, so he knows artists. He knows the workings of recording albums and whatever, but he doesn't know how to run a record label. But he does want to run a record label, so he starts from scratch. And the first episode is asking my wife, I think it's called, and his first guest is his wife. And he's going over, okay, I want to do this and this and this, and then his wife gives feedback, like, well, is this a good idea? How much time are you going to put into this? Are you going to lose money on this? Where's this money coming from? And all that kind of stuff. So, and it's really candid, I guess. So uh, uh, when we started talking about starting a record label, I kind of started listening to that one. I'm a few episodes in, and it's interesting so far because he also talks to some friends of his who are in a band that are on a label, I believe, or were on a label, something like that. And they're just giving their side, their perspective of, what they would see in a record label, what it should be and stuff like
Right.
that. So that's I would like to have an episode, you and me, together with someone, either an artist that used to be signed or still signed with a record label, or a record label, someone that's running a record label right now, an indie label, for example, because it's really interesting I mean, you can go, with the standard traditional record label and do a 360 deal with artists and suck
Right.
them dry or whatever.
Right. Right.
Um, but there's he's trying to do it differently. He's not just releasing the music and that's it. He also
Where's
wants to
he?
be involved
Where's
in
he
the whole
from?
social media. He is in California right now, but I think he's originally from New York, that area, because he part of um, starting that record label is relocating to LA, I believe.
Right. We should try and get him on a
So
call. We should try and get him on an episode.
yeah, that'd be sweet.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna link to his. I'm gonna link to his podcast for sure uh, in the description below somewhere on YouTube,
Yeah.
Podbean, Spotify, wherever you're listening.
Um.
And then yeah, I'll reach out to him, see if he's interested.
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna say too. I wrote this down at the top of the half, at the top half, but Sully from Godsmack, I think, started some kind of podcast thing too. Um, I keep seeing his ads on Instagram for it, and I think the first
Oh,
episode was on Tuesday. I think it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube or it's on Facebook Live, maybe. I don't know.
okay.
I don't know exactly. There's something going on there. Sully from Godsmack is doing some kind of talk show podcast thing about music. I don't know.
And then there's I forgot to mention this one because I kind of quit listening to it. It's the Vinyl Guide with Nate Goyer, I think is his name, and he uh, talks about records and record collections and different kinds of pressings and He interviews people that are in the
Oh,
record business, so that's also an interesting one.
that
Yeah,
reminded me of a question we got last week, I think. Wasn't there a gentleman who was
yeah,
asking like your thoughts and opinions on like repressing versus something else and
right.
what the difference is?
Byron
You
asked that.
remember?
Yeah, yeah.
And we never got to address it. Do you have a minute to
No,
No, you don't have a minute to answer that?
well, I
No.
have about 20 minutes, but no, but it's not an easy question to answer because it's not as simple as which one sounds better, the old one or the new one. Because
Well, okay. If somebody who new to the game, how would you
yeah,
explain the difference to somebody new? Like to try and keep it short and sweet, not to get into crazy detail about it. Like to me, how would you explain it to me?
the difference in pressings.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a whole theory behind that. So the new pressings are often reissues, um, and it depends on what the source is of the pressing. So way back, um, when records were or when albums were released and they were pressed on records, they were on the 2-inch tape, all analog, and from there they went from a tape into the vinyl uh, creation process, so to speak. So that's all analog. But nowadays, some of those 2-inch tapes were put into a digital format, and now it depends on when that was done. If that was done, like let's say 15 years ago, the quality of digital wasn't as good as it is now. So if, for example, a 20 to 30-year-old record was reissued using that old 15-year-old digital format, it might be that the newer pressing from today is worse than the original pressing that was done with the master
Okay.
tapes.
Well, that makes
So
sense.
what what you um there's a lot of the hype stickers that are on the front of the records. Some of them actually mention remastered or reissued from the original master tapes or remastered, and that's another difference. You have reissues, which are reissued from the original tapes or from the original digital format, or however that was
Right.
done back in the day. But then you also have the remasters. So that's where, for example, the 2-inch tape goes through the mastering process again, because it could be that the original pressing of the record sounded like crap, but the music is good. So they put it through a remastering process, and that's done digitally. But nowadays, digital is so good that although people say they can hear the difference, I I bet 90% of people can't. Um, so they go through another remastering process and then into the. So it's kind of, it's not easy to say, okay, this pressing is better than this one.
Right.
It all depends on what the process was.
But you can
Now, if you
essentially track it with the stickers on the cover, though, right?
the hype stickers are often more marketing than actual information. So, for example, a lot of those stickers say audiophile 180 gram pressing, but 180 gram has nothing to do with audiophile. It's just more vinyl. Because a standard record is between. So they use a puck, a
Right.
vinyl plastic puck that they put in a press, basically, um, and that puck has a certain weight. So it's either 120, which is between 120 and 140 grams is a standard weight, but they can go up to 200 That's on the high side, up to 200 grams. Now, when vinyl was coming back, um, everybody was gushing over the 180-gram records because they're thicker, they're obviously better because they're heavier and they feel better and whatever, whatever. But it doesn't actually make a difference
in
if
the
you're
sound.
still using that 15-year-old digital
Yeah,
recording that sounds like crap.
that makes
You
sense.
know, so yeah, 180 grams, sure, but it depends on what the mastering process was before it actually made it to the record. So those hype stickers are exactly that. They're hype stickers. They're marketing. Um, if you really want to dig into how a record was pressed, where the original audio came from, and all that kind of stuff, there are several websites that do that. A lot of times you can find your information on discogs.com. There's also the Steve Hoffman forums. That's more of a community where people talk about these pressings. They have inside information a lot of times. Um, so yeah, it's not an easy answer.
Right. I was
Does that answer your question? You
yeah,
were doing something.
I was. It was it's a lot to take in. And I'll be honest, I kind of
Yeah,
started to drift off there at the end.
I I I noticed. Yeah, your eyes started glazing over, so I was like, okay, and this is it for Joel. So yeah, that's basically that's in short the non-answer to that.
All right. Very good. Very good.
So
Um,
Byron, if you're listening, I hope that answers your question.
right. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of anything relative,
Um,
like worth
I
discussing. You got something?
I kind of want to talk about this Fiona Apple album.
Okay.
Because this morning Twitter was exploding about Fiona Apple's new album, Fetch the Bolt Cutters. Um, the reason is not so much that it's a new album and it's Fiona Apple, but it's more because Pitchfork, which is a fairly reputable uh, music magazine, for the first time in over a decade, they rated this album a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
The last album to do that was Kanye West's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. So I think Pitchfork is setting a pretty high standard. So this album has to be pretty amazing, although I wasn't a big fan of Kanye's album, but
Right.
um but technically it's probably a very well made album. So I put it on Spotify this morning and just to check out because I don't think I would have Fiona Apple in my record collection
Right. Or
personally.
playlist even. Yeah.
Yeah, but I listened to it and yeah, it's good.
Do
I
they
mean,
say so?
not
Like, is it good? Like, like what do you mean? Like lyrically or um uh
yeah.
like
I didn't read the whole
instrumentally
article because
or
it's
produced good or yeah.
all of the above. Because
Right.
I music is very subjective, right? Like
Yeah.
if you would have reviewed it, you would have given it a 4 out of 10
Right.
because it's not your music,
Yeah.
right? But if I'm and from I kind of glanced over the Pitchfork article, um, and it's more about the lyrics, how it's put together, how it's more of a I guess of a story kind of from A to the last letter because I don't think it's Z. But um,
What?
so yeah, I'm gonna
What are you talking about? From A to the last letter that I don't think is Z.
yeah I don't know. A to Z is 26 letters. I don't know where I was going with that. From
All
start to
right.
finish. That's what I was going for. Yeah.
Okay. I'm still a little confused,
Yeah.
but okay, I'll roll with you.
Okay. It's late.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah.
I dig music.
But yeah, so that's
Okay.
but I think that's pretty impressive
What
because
was
if there's
her?
only one album every 10 years does that.
I remember hearing like Fiona Apple on the radio. I'm trying to think of like
Mhm.
what's one or two of her big hits. Can you name them off the top of your head?
She's I don't think she has a lot of
Who
major
sings
hits
that?
on the radio.
What if God was one of us? Who's that?
That's Sheryl Crow.
Was it?
Yeah. Fiona Apple. Oh yeah, of course. Now Google is all over that new uh, criminal. Uh,
I
yeah,
feel like Criminal rings a bell, but
let's see if it rings a bell if I hit play.
wasn't that on like Big Shiny Tunes or something?
This is a tune from 1996. Oh yeah, yeah, I know this one.
What's the chorus sound like?
Trying to find it here.
Like a criminal. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Fiona
Yeah, I
Apple.
remember that song. That's like the
Yeah.
one and only song I ever knew of hers because it was on the radio all the time. Back in
Yeah.
1996. What year did you come to Canada in?
December 2007, 8, 8, 2008. I think. I don't remember.
I remember listening
I
to like the
I just
top
remember it was.
666.
I just remember it was December 23rd when we arrived in Calgary, and then we drove from Calgary to here, and it was past midnight, so it was Christmas Eve, basically. Yeah,
Aw. Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll
So yeah,
have to. We should. So is that album? It's out now.
yes. Well, it's on Spotify. I didn't find a vinyl copy yet at any of the major labels, which would be Sony. Sony doesn't have it in their catalog yet, so I'm not sure if it's coming out soon or if it's coming out at all on vinyl. But she does have her other albums on vinyl, so I assume it's coming. I just didn't read anything about it yet.
Oh, did you see the video of Jimmy Fallon and the Roots doing "Stuck in the Middle with You" on Zoom? I thought
Yeah,
that was
I
pretty cool.
did.
I thought
Yeah.
it was good.
Um, all these Zoom kind of jam sessions are starting to get pretty cool.
I
I
think they're
actually, honestly,
And we were
I was
kind of
thinking
talking
of,
about that, like how many episodes ago we were talking about people doing like little
yeah,
concert things from home, and then yeah.
you know what I think would be cool to do is to put out a call to artists. If you play guitar, drums, bass, keyboard, whatever, we give a song. And not we're not doing this now because I didn't think this through, so don't do it yet, but maybe next week. Um, what if we put out a call to artists, send in your version of this, let's say Name a song. Crazy by Britney Spears. Um, do your rendition of that. Don't sing, just play your guitar or only sing. Do one thing at a time, not both. Send it over to us and I'll mash it together in one music video.
Something like that. I see where you're going with it.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Or we could do this. If you're how's this for an idea, Mark? If there is like musicians or a band out there that listens to us and follows us, if they have some original music that they kind of want to put out there, they could send it to us and we could maybe feature one of their tracks on like the closing of an episode or something.
At the end, yeah,
Yeah, something like
that's an
that. So
idea.
then
Yeah,
if you have
maybe
any
maybe
original
for
music
example,
and want to get your name out there, we can try and help you out and yeah,
yeah,
something like that. I
yeah.
think that'd be
Okay,
kind of cool.
that's yeah, that might be a thing for next episode to hash out a little bit more and
Right.
see what we
Instead
can
of
do with
playing
that.
somebody else's music, play your. I mean, if you want to, that's fine. But if you also want to get your original music out there, I think, would be more than happy to help.
Whoever is listening right now, and we're almost at the end of the episode, so you might zoned out already. But if you're still listening, give us some feedback on this idea. Let's see what we can do together. How because um, Funky Moose is all about promoting indie artists, Canadian indie artists. That's why the band Aversions, for example, last week sent a few records and see if we can sell them on our website. Check them out, Aversions. The I forget their EP title, but it's on the website. Check out the new releases. It's pretty catchy. I want to do more for Canadian artists. So
Yeah, reach out to us, you guys.
help us out. Yeah. What can we do for you?
Help me help
Let us help.
you. All right,
That's right.
let's close on that. Okay.
Sounds good. Okay,
Hey, see
everyone.
you guys next week.
Thanks for
Yeah.
listening. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, you can listen
Where?
to us
Yeah.
on Podbean. Okay. Podbean, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, and Stitcher. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And our own website, of course, funkymooserecords.ca. That's it for episode 9. See you in episode 10.
Peace out.